Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the last couple of cards from Champion Road. I am a completionist, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I do actually need to give you a video tomorrow, probably tomorrow, depending on when this gets uploaded, about the great little Pokemon from Champion Road. Once again, we've got some really nice pre-evolutions that do deserve their own video and a quick discussion about how good they may or may not be. But that's not today's video. Today's video is looking at the last two Pokemon from the set that we haven't had a look at yet, although one of them has been mentioned kind of angrily in previous videos. It's Swalot and Kangaskhan. So starting off with Swalot then, it is a psychic Pokemon, which means it is hitting weakness against things like Espeon and Garbodor. Garboda's not that relevant. Let's say Buzzwole. I mean, Garbodor is relevant, but it's not, it's got 120 HP. You shouldn't be worrying about knocking it out. You should be worried about playing too many items and it knocking you out. Although actually, to be fair, this is a really good counter for Garbodor. We'll talk about that in a moment. 120 HP is kind of annoying because, as I always say, there's a whole bunch of Pokemon like Zoroark and Golisopod that naturally hit 120. You don't want 120, you want 130. Retreat cost of 2 sucks, and a weakness to Psychic means you're weak to things like Espeon and Garbodor, which is not particularly ideal. Okay, not looking great so far. So I should mention our translations, as has become a little bit of a tradition, do come from the lovely David Hochmann over at LimitlessTCG.com. First attack here, 1 colorless energy, 30 damage, choose one of the defending Pokemon's attacks. They cannot use it next turn. Now, we talked about this pretty recently, to be perfectly honest, because this is on the Sableye that has the Disable attack, or as I like to call it, Disable-Eye. Boom. It's also on the Uxie, which is coming out in Forbidden Light on Friday. So the question basically becomes, is it worth it, given that we've got other Pokemon? Well, Sableye hits a worse weakness and does 10 damage while stopping an attack. Swalot hits a better weakness while doing 30 damage and stopping the attack. So that's quite nice. Uxie is, of course, a basic that does 30 damage and stops the attack, so that's quite nice. But then again, Uxie is for a coloured energy and doesn't have a backup attack, whereas this is for colourless energy and does have a backup attack. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts. As far as I'm concerned, these disable attacks, or amnesia as it's apparently called on this, they're good attacks, they're useful attacks. Because there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that just have one good move. I mean, we mentioned Garbodor earlier. This will 2-hit KO Garbodor with the weakness, and then at the same time, you can just stop them using Trash Avalanche, which means they can either add a double colorless energy to use Acid Spray or basically give up and let you have the KO, which is quite often what they're going to be doing. In your face, quite frankly. So that's quite nice. Think about things like Buzzwole. If a Buzzwole, you're actually hitting 120 here with weakness. Same thing with Espeon. And with Buzzwole, you can turn off Jet Punch, and then they probably don't have enough energy to use the big attack, Knuckle Impact. So maybe you win in that way. And certainly, Espeon here is probably going to want to use Psybeam. Well, again, with a Choice Band, you hit 120, and then they're not able to use Psybeam next turn. I'm not saying this isn't a useful attack. It absolutely is a useful attack. Let's be clear about that. It's a very good attack. However, it's on a stage 1, and we've got other Pokemon that do this as well. Now, I am kind of interested in the second attack as well. Psychic double colorless, Swallow Up, 40 damage. If your opponent's active HP has less HP than this Pokemon, this attack does 80 more damage. So basically here, if you've got less HP than Swalot, you should be KO'd. Because if they've got 110 or less, you do 120, and 120 is more than 110. Although, interestingly enough, if you were to put Muscle Dumbbells on here, then it's not called Muscle Dumbbells, is it? That's what it was called in Japan. If you were to put bodybuilding dumbbells on here, then you would go up to 160 and be hitting 120, so maybe not get the KO. I mean, this is fine. If you can get anything down to kind of 110 or less, you're KOing it. But it's a stage 1 that's not got that much HP. and it's for free energy, although you can use double colorless, but it seems like a waste of a double colorless. And, I mean, you could be playing a Stage 1 Garbodor, or you could be putting the free energy on an Espeon GX. And I just don't know if it's worth it. And then you've got to get the energy on, so it's kind of like a 2-hit KO'er. I'm not a huge fan of Swalot, to be perfectly honest, ladies and gentlemen. I'm giving it between 2 and 3 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I don't think it's terrible. I just don't think there's very much to like about it, because pretty much anything it does can be done better by other stuff. So I'm just like, hey-ho. Next Pokemon up in this video, Kangaskhan. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, Kangaskhan makes me a little bit angry, because a bunch of the cards we've seen from Champions Road are missing an attack. I'll give you one example, though there are a bunch. Ludicolo. The Champion Road Ludicolo is a reprint of an old Ludicolo that had 1 ability and 2 attacks. It lost an attack, as did a bunch of Pokemon being reprinted in Champion Road. For some reason, don't ask me why, I have literally no idea, Pokemon have decided that EXs and GXs can have free attack/abilities, and we're cool with it. I mean, Espeon does, Buzzwole does, Golisopod does. I could keep going, you get the point. But regular Pokemon don't. Okay, fine. As annoying as it is, it's a rule. But then Kangaskhan comes swanning in with free attacks. What's going on, Pokemon? Why does Kangaskhan get this and no one else does? That doesn't seem fair. As it is, this is actually kind of an annoying Pokemon. It's got a weakness to fighting, which, as we mentioned, sucks. I mean, a Buzzwole with a Regirock and a strong energy will get an instant 1-hit KO. Or with a Fighting Fury Bout and a Diancie Prism Star, will get a 1-hit KO. Basically, it's not sticking around, it's getting KO'd by Buzzwole super easily. And it's got 120 HP, so stuff like Zoroark and Golisopod will get KOs, while 130 HP, like my boy Registeel, will be well, it won't be absolutely fine, they'll have 10 HP remaining, but they will at least have 10 HP remaining and not be KO'd. Then you add in a retreat cost of 2, which is the worst retreat cost in the game, highest one before you can use Heavy Ball, and the fact that it's a colourless Pokemon, so it's hitting nothing for weakness, and you have a Pokemon where the basics here look, quite frankly, not good. Now, the good news is it has free attacks. Yay! The bad news is they're all terrible. 1 colourless energy, draw a card. That's it. Draw 1 card. I mean, for goodness sake, the Furfrou coming out does better than that. Draws until you got 5 cards in your hand. And it does 20 damage. And it's only got 30 less HP. So, good job, Kangaskhan. You're worse than Furfrou now. If you want to put a double colourless energy on here, you can do a whopping 30 damage. Bearing in mind that Tapu Koko is a basic Pokemon with free retreat that can do 20 damage to all of your opponent's Pokemon for the same attack cost. Uh-oh. That's kind of bad. And free colourless energy, 60 damage, flip a coin. If heads, it does 30 more damage. Does 90 on a coin flip for free colourless energy. And if you were hitting for weakness, maybe. Maybe if you're hitting for weakness, you whack a choice band on here, you do 240 with weakness, and then unless something like a Metagross comes along with 250 HP, then you're going to be absolutely fine. You're going to be getting 2 prizes, and at least it's expensive, and it's got low HP, but at least you can justify... Oh, no, wait! You're not hitting for weakness here! I don't like Kangaskhan. Now, partly I'm just a little bit offended that it's got free attacks when Pokemon like Ludicolo, that would be really good if they were reprinted with all their attacks, are missing an attack. But mostly here, it's just got free attacks, none of which are particularly exciting. They finally gave us free attacks on a non-GX Pokemon, and all free attacks suck. Swalot is a bit expensive, and there's Pokemon that do things better, and it's not particularly great, but at least you could see yourself using both of those attacks. Kangaskhan's got a terrible weakness, a bad HP, the worst retreat cost in the game, is hitting nothing for weakness, and all 3 attacks suck. I'm giving Kangaskhan 1 Wassy. I don't know if I've ever given out 1 Wassy before, because generally speaking, I love Pokemon cards. I don't like giving them 1 Wassy, but Kangaskhan's basically offensive to me, so for that reason I'm giving it 1 Wassy, and you can't stop me. You can, however, disagree with me, or agree with me, or tell me what you had for breakfast, or just say hello, or tell me your pet's name in the comment section. So go nuts, but be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do make sure you check out my Dragon Ball Super /video game channel, which is 10 subs away from 1,000. I would be delighted. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.